Welcome to the Digital Insurance Agent Podcast. I'm so glad you've joined us today. And with me is Ashley DiBiase from Dash of Social. Ashley, it's great having you with us.
Thank you for having me, Carl. I'm very excited to be here.
All right. And it is a pleasure having you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Dash of Social.
Absolutely. I'm based in Massachusetts, and Dash of Social is a content marketing agency that I started back in 2016. We specialize in helping clients with organic social media management, blog content, email marketing, and overall content marketing strategy.
All right. Wonderful. Well, today's topic, we are going to destroy the magic bullet theory. And we're going to talk about the content marketing trifecta. And so, Ashley, let's talk about that. Let's come right out of the gate. Number one, there is no magic bullet. So, we're going to just disappoint everybody to start with. But what is the trifecta?
Absolutely. I like to refer to the content marketing trifecta as the three components of social media, blog content, and email marketing. But the idea being that when you're able to diversify your content marketing efforts and focus on 2 to 3 channels, maybe even more, you're able to not put all of your eggs in one basket and ensure that you're able to reach a wider audience and be able to get better results than if you were to just go all in on one of those channels, whether it was just social, just blogging, or just email marketing.
Excellent. And when we talk about this, idea of the trifecta, social media, blog content, email marketing. That's really a holistic strategy. And you talk about more effective than just these standalones and going all in on one. Why is that holistic approach more effective? It does take, a little more effort, but why are the results so much more powerful?
Of course. So, with this, you're able to focus on diversifying your efforts. I think a lot of business owners are guilty of kind of isolating themselves to, for example, just social media because it's the easiest thing to do. And so when you're only focusing on one channel, you're automatically limiting yourself from all the other places that your ideal clients or customers may be hanging out and looking for an insurance agent like yourself. And so when you're able to pull in consistent blog posts that are able to provide a solution to a problem that your clients might be facing, or when you're able to send newsletters about news that's coming up within the industry or things that they need to know about, you're able to really draw them in and help to build credibility and trust with your audience. And so when you're constantly driving people from one point in your content marketing strategy to the next, you're further pushing them down that funnel or that buyer acquisition strategy of being able to just ensure that they go from just someone who's learning about you and maybe interested in how you can support them in their insurance needs to now actually wanting to work with you as an agent and being able to kind of close the deal, so to say.
Good. There's something I want to ask you here, Ashley. When I think about this holistic approach, I always think about the idea of omnipresence, of being really just so many places that your target audience is going to be almost inescapable. And just what you said, your audience is in all these different places. They're going to be on their email every day. They're going to be on social media every day, and they're probably going to be researching every day.
Yeah.
And so, wouldn't you say that this holistic strategy we're kind of hitting in all of those pockets where we know that that consumer is going to be throughout the day?
I agree, especially because people need to see a message multiple times before they act on it. I mean, I don't know the exact number for this, but there's a stat that people see something like 5,000 messages or ads a day. And it's not necessarily an ad like a commercial or a true ad. It could be something like seeing a logo for a company. And so, since people are constantly inundated with all these different messages and forms of advertisements from companies, you need to make sure that you're showing up over and over and over again that you actually stick out in their mind. And as you mentioned with that omnipresence, Carl, of being able to have all these different channels that you show up in, you're guaranteeing that people are going to see you over and over and over again, which will then nudge them to finally make that decision and move forward with you.
Absolutely. And so let's kind of break down these components of the trifecta. Let's start with, social media where you're really just building that awareness. For an insurance agent, what would be the best platforms? Where do you think, if they're going to spend some time on social media, where should they be? Where are they going to get the most mileage?
Personally, I believe Facebook and LinkedIn are two very big platforms for them to focus on. Primarily Facebook, because if someone is looking for an insurance agent who's local, they might turn to their town's Facebook group and say, I'm looking to work with a new insurance agent. Who do you work with and recommend? And people who are members of that Facebook group will then comment on that post of who they work with and love. And so if you're an insurance agent that serves that area, you want to make sure that you're a part of that group and that you're able to jump in on that conversation as it's happening and recommend yourself. It's really a really great way to be able to organically and cheaply acquire new clients in that sense, just being able to take advantage of those community groups that are going on. LinkedIn, I think, is important to, if you are some type of commercial insurance agent, of course, you'll think of LinkedIn because of B2B. But I also think that LinkedIn is important for being able to create content that will get seen by your strategic partners or referral partners who will send clients to you. So if you're an insurance agent, you might have like lawyers, you might have CPAs, you might have other types of professionals who constantly send clients to you. So being able to build content that gets seen by those types of people will then keep you top of mind for them, so that when they have a client who says, hey, I need a new insurance agent, who do you recommend? You'll be the person that they share first.
Oh, excellent. And then, on these platforms, of course, there's different types of content you can put out. So let's talk about what's really moving these days in social media, especially, let's start with Facebook. Um, if I'm going to make a post, what's the best kind of post I can be making these days?
Yeah. So I'd say first thing that you don't want to do is use any type of automated service that can just share generic content to your social media profiles. I say you always want to have unique content, but really what moves the needle is having any type of what I call human-centric content. So if it's just you, if you're just a solo agent, being able to create short videos about tips that your audience might benefit from, that really helps to drive engagement. Or if you work with other agents, being able to introduce them or showcase work that you've done with them, that helps to drive more engagement. But ultimately, you want to think about how you can show your face and get people to know you, so that way they're really able to understand who you are and how you can support them. And that's what will make them want to work with you.
Yeah, I think you brought up something really important there. I noticed you mentioned video. So video, powerful driver. And of course, I'm on the uh, in the marketing world as well. So our internals at Meta all tell us that our algorithm's actually looking for short form video.
Mhm.
So even the technology is looking for video. But human nature as well. Most people, and you brought this up earlier, the attention span is short. And so we're trying to stop the scroll. But you brought up something else, and that's having faces. And I think we forget that sometimes. So we want to post this generic content, but really people want to see faces. And I
Mhm.
always laugh. It's Facebook. That should be the key. It is looking for faces. So get into that just a little bit too, because I find a lot of insurance agents, for whatever reason, they're just a little timid about putting their face out there. And
Mhm.
could you speak into the importance of that on your social media, having your face, your team's faces, really getting personal, and personalizing your social media content?
Absolutely. So when someone sees your face in videos over and over again, if you're consistently posting them, they pick up on the way that you talk, they pick up on your facial expressions, they pick up on your mannerisms. It's almost like being face to face with someone. And personally, I feel like when it's like meet with someone in person or even meet with them through Zoom, I feel like I relate to them better than if I just read something that they wrote through email. I mean, there's so many ways to misinterpret something or not pick up on someone's personality. And ultimately, it's personality that's one of the most important things when you're working with someone individually. You want to make sure that your personality jives with theirs. And so that's really one easy way to portray that is through video. And so people start to feel like they know you once they see your videos. And once they know you, they start to like you. And once they like you, they start to trust you. And once they trust you, then they're ready to give you their money. And so being able to show up on those videos, even if it's only once a week, just to start, I think is huge. And so it could be videos of just you if you want to share a quick tip, or if you have a vendor that you might work with, like if you're doing a video about getting your fiance's like engagement ring appraised. So that way, if you're a homeowner insurance agent and you want to prevent your client from like potentially losing on their engagement ring if their house gets broken into, I think just being able to bring in professionals like that and create valuable content like that can really help to move the needle forward and actually, like you said, Carl, stop the scroll and get people to watch the video that you're doing and take action from there.
Excellent. Yeah, the other thing that comes to mind too for our audience, there's a lot of our listeners that they are captive agents. And so, their company does a great job of branding, and we won't mention any of their names, but, like a good neighbor, Mayhem and whoever else represents their company is who gets all the attention. And
Mm-hmm.
so their primary competition isn't actually the competing companies, it's the other agents within their brand. And
Yes.
so social media is the place where they have to create a compelling case for why choose me over the other agent who wears the same logo and brand that I do. And so, this is, if you could speak into that a little bit, that part of what we're doing is storytelling. What is the story of your agency? What is the character of your agency? If you could elaborate on that a little bit, because that is a primary objective with social media for a lot of the agents that listen to this.
Yes, absolutely. And you nailed it. Being able to focus on personal branding as an individual agent is huge. And being able to incorporate that storytelling can really differentiate you from the next agent within your overall branch or agency. And so I think one of the biggest and easiest ways to do that, especially through video, as we shared earlier, is being able to talk about client success stories or case studies. People want to know what you've done for your other clients and the great results that you've brought for them that you can then do for these potential clients as well. So if you were able to save your clients thousands of dollars a year, people want to know about that. If your client had a flood in their home and you were able to help them get a lot of their possessions back, people want to know about that. People want to hear about the great things that you've achieved for the people that you've already worked with, because that's what will make them want to work with you too, because they want to have that success. They want to be able to have the positive outcomes as well. And when you focus on that social proof of being able to demonstrate the great work that you've done, that's what will really draw people in and make them want to work with you further.
Excellent. And then let's talk about getting the engagement rates up. I see a lot of agents that they post and they post and they post, and part of it is, and you brought this up earlier, don't post automatic content. For the captive agents, what I see a lot of them do is they post the crap that their company gives them, and so they're posting the same thing that every other agent that works for the company posts. So there's nothing distinctive about it.
Mhm.
But what are some other things that could be done to raise that engagement level on the content that they're posting?
Yes. First and foremost, pay attention to your analytics. I think oftentimes people get so busy that when it comes to social media, they almost post just to post because they're like, I just want to get something out there and make sure that I have an active social media profile. But they're really just throwing the wall and hoping that it sticks and not really having intention behind why they're doing what they're doing. So it's crucial to look at any form of analytics to understand what content is performing the best and what is it about that content that's drawing people in. And then on the other end, what content is truly flopping that you should stop focusing on, and methods that you should kind of take a step back from that aren't really moving the needle for you, so that you can focus more time, energy, and resources on the things that are really driving that engagement forward. And so when you're able to look through your analytics and get a feel for the consistent type of content or formats that's really drawing in more likes, drawing in more comments, drawing in more shares, you're able to, in a sense, replicate that and you're able to kind of think of a formula for yourself that will get people to engage based on what you see is already working. So I think that's a big way to get more engagement. And I also think finding ways to collaborate with like-minded individuals is a great way to get more engagement too. So to the example that I mentioned earlier about doing a joint video with someone, being able to tag that person and have them share the content or use the collaborator feature on Facebook or Instagram can help get your content seen in front of their audience, which will then increase exposure as well. I think being able to tap into what I mentioned earlier of the Facebook groups and being able to join Facebook groups in your community as your business page and being able to interact as your business page can drive people back to that profile there to follow you. That's one way to increase engagement as well. So always think about what it is that's moving the needle forward in terms of analytics. Also think about how you can collaborate with like-minded people who share a similar audience to you that can help to increase your performance.
Excellent. And then as far as staying consistent, what are some of your tips there to make sure that you stay consistent without spending hours online and without, like you said, posting just boring posts just to post something?
Absolutely. Personally, I feel like consistency is much more important than frequency. And I feel like there's a difference too. So, frequency, people might interpret as showing up every single day on every single platform. But that's the easiest way to burn out. If you go from 0 to 100 real quick, that's the quickest way that you're just going to stop doing everything completely for months. I think being able to dip your toes in the water a little bit and get comfortable and then work your way up once you feel like you have a good system in place is key. So if you're really only able to manage writing one social media post per week because of your workload, start with that. It's the fact that you're showing up once per week, every single week, that your audience will start to expect that from you. Once you feel like you have a good system in place and you have the capacity to increase the amount of times that you're posting to social media, then you can increase that maybe to 2 times per week, maybe to 3 times per week. Being able to slowly increase it till you get to the point where you feel like you're almost at a good sense where it's almost on autopilot for you. I'm also a big fan of batching. So being able to maybe spend 1 hour a week planning out content for that week, or maybe even one day a month where you're planning it out for the month and just getting everything done all in one swoop will actually ensure that you're getting the job done. Because if you tell yourself, oh, I'll post day by day, you likely won't because the to-do list will get a little bit crazy and you just won't find the time. So I think being able to focus on that stuff is really important. And then I also think focusing only on the social media channels where your ideal clients are going to find you is important. So just because a social media platform exists doesn't mean you need to be on that platform. So we mentioned earlier that Facebook and LinkedIn are likely the two best social media platforms to focus on. That doesn't necessarily mean that you also need to be on TikTok and Blue Sky and Threads and Mastodon and any and every platform that exists. Really only focus on the ones that make the most sense for your business.
Excellent. Now let's, move into blogging now. A lot of people overlook blogging, and I'm a fan of blogging. I think it's one of the most overlooked things for a business owner. But why does blogging really matter for an insurance agent? Why is it something they should consider incorporating into the trifecta for them?
Of course. I think one of the most important things about blogging is that it drives people back to your website because your blog is hosted on your website. And so when you're writing and publishing a blog post and you're sharing it on social media or through your email list, you're then driving people to your website to read it. And chances are, more often than not, once they read that blog post, they might want to poke around your website and they might want to learn more about who you are as an agent and what you specialize in and how you can help someone like them. And then ultimately, it's your website that will convert them to reaching out for a consultation or a free quote or wanting to chat with you further. So, just being able to get people onto your website in the first place is a great way to kind of lead them in as a lead and draw them in from there. Blogging is also great for thought leadership and establishing credibility because you're able to use it as an educational tool. If you constantly hear from your clients that they're asking you the same questions over and over again, that might be a good indication to write a blog post on the topic. You're able to write a really thoughtful piece about whatever problem it is that people are constantly facing and sharing your expert advice on it. And that will really help to position you as the expert in your field because you've proven and demonstrated the knowledge that you have on that topic.
Excellent. And then let's talk about, content types. A lot of things you could be posting on a blog, but what type of content do you find, drives the most traffic and raises the trust level the most?
Yeah, I would say anything that's more of like a FAQ, so frequently asked question, or I would think anything that might be like industry news of something new that might be coming out that people are really interested in learning more about. And I also think that being able to, if you're potentially using a blog to share like those client success stories or ways that you've been able to demonstrate your social proof for how you've worked with your clients, that's a great way to use it as well. But I'm definitely leaning more towards the FAQ type of content being the biggest thing that drives people in.
Perfect. And then with that, you've got your blog content. One of the mistakes I also see a lot of business owners make is don't just let the blog sit there, but find ways to repurpose the blog. And so if you
Mhm.
could talk about repurposing, what are some of your recommendations for repurposing?
Of course. So if you wrote a blog post that's something along the lines of 5 ways to do X, you can use that blog post and break it up into a minimum of 5 different social media posts if you have one social media post for each way or each tip that you outline in that blog post. So it's kind of like using social media posts as a teaser to then drive people to the full blog to read from there. So I think that's an easy way to kind of slice and dice, so to say, the content that you're creating. And of course, if you're writing and publishing a blog post and you have an email list, you also want to make sure that you're sharing that blog post to your subscribers. So being able to include a snippet in your next newsletter about the blog post that might encourage or entice someone to click through and read the full post from there is huge for being able to get more eyes on the content that you've already shared and created.
Excellent. And then, one of the things also that we do, and I don't know if you've had your clients do this as well. We'll actually repurpose that into video. So we'll create long form video out of our blog posts, and then we'll chop that up into shorts and reels. So you can expand that to really about as far as you want the imagination to go, and create just hundreds of pieces of content. So
Yes.
awesome, awesome stuff. So now the next piece of the trifecta, and this is one that I think a lot of people have dismissed in recent days, and they shouldn't, and that's email marketing. So talk about the importance of email marketing today.
Yes. So with email marketing, unlike social media, you don't have to fight an algorithm. You might have to fight against other companies that are sending newsletters to your subscribers, and you might have to fight against the spam filter, but you will never have to fight against how content is showing up on a news feed within your inbox. And so being able to use a newsletter to consistently show up in your subscribers, your email list inboxes is a great way to ensure that they're seeing the content. Social media feeds are constantly flooded all the time. There's constantly new posts being published by all these different accounts that it's easy for someone to miss a social media post that you publish. But the chance of them seeing a newsletter that they've sent to your inbox is much higher. And so being able to share your content there is a great way to ensure that you're staying top of mind and nurturing your leads. And really being able to use a newsletter is as simple as repurposing, as we just chatted about, but repurposing the social media posts that you've created. I mean, typically I recommend to clients, let's look at your top 3 to 5 social media posts from the past month and let's include them in your next newsletter almost as like a digest type feature where it's kind of different sections that people can click through and learn more from there. So being able to take the content that's already performing well and just being able to regurgitate it into an email can really help you to drive the message home and potentially get new leads to reach out.
Excellent. And then when you're emailing, there's a balance between value-driven emails and then promotional emails. And how do you strike that balance? How do you determine, how much should be one and how much should be the other?
Yeah, I feel like it really depends on the season of your business. I think in any business, there's going to be certain times of the year where we do need to be a little bit more salesy than others. But ultimately, I always feel like selling is serving. And so if you're able to help someone just through the services that you offer as an insurance agent, I think that's really important to remember. And a newsletter, as I shared, I love to kind of recommend to people to focus on those digest formats because it's easy for you to maybe include 3 pieces of helpful content within that newsletter, and then 1 direct pitch. And then that way people aren't necessarily receiving a straight sales pitch, but rather getting all this helpful and valuable content mixed in with it as well. And I think they'll be a lot more receptive to it. But I will say that I think people are hesitant to be more salesy in their newsletters because they're worried about people unsubscribing. And I always say to never worry about someone unsubscribing, because if someone unsubscribes, they were never going to be a client or customer anyway. And so it just means that you're getting closer and closer to actually connecting with the people who are likely to work with you.
I would have to agree, Ashley. If they unsubscribe, that's okay. Uh,
Yes.
that's okay. So let's talk about just some simple automation strategies that can help you save time and increase the engagement on your email marketing.
Yes. First and foremost, you want to make sure that you have some type of welcome series or automation series set up for when someone signs up to your email list. So whether you just have a simple sign up form on your website where people can enter their name and email to get added on your list, or if you have some type of lead magnet, a free resource that you offer people in exchange for giving you their email address, you want to make sure that as soon as someone fills out that form, that they receive an automatic email from you. And so that within that email, you can just share an expectation of what they can expect to see throughout the coming weeks or coming months about how often you'll be emailing them. You can share whatever free resource you promise them. You can open up the floor and encourage them to reply to the email and ask any questions, but you absolutely must have at least that one initial email that people receive right off the bat when signing up for your email list. So that way they know that they've been acknowledged and that you're there to support them in any way possible.
Excellent. And then kind of wrapping up our topic for today, what are your 3 top content marketing tips that you have for our audience?
One, I would say review your analytics. I think it's so important to make sure that you're reviewing them at least monthly to see what's working and what isn't working, and also what you're not doing that you could try to be doing to see how you're able to get better results. I think you can do more harm than good if you're just kind of blindly flying in and not really having any type of plan or reason behind why you're doing what you're doing with content marketing. So I think starting there with reviewing your analytics. I also think that focusing on where your audience is actually spending their time and hanging out and consuming content is important. If your ideal client as an insurance agent is not using TikTok to find an insurance agent, that doesn't mean that you need to be on TikTok for your business. So make sure that you're using your time wisely and spend your time in the places where people are likely to find you. And thirdly, as we've really hit the nail on the head with this message here lately, but being able to incorporate video. It can be as simple as just you sharing a quick 30-second or 60-second tip, or it can be you doing video with someone else, whether it's another insurance agent or a vendor that you frequently work with to provide value on a specific topic. Video is really drawing people in these days. And so you want to make sure that you're leveraging the results that they can bring you from that.
Excellent. And then for somebody who is wanting to really implement the trifecta, what's maybe their first easy steps to implement the trifecta?
Yeah, I would say having an editorial calendar overall is huge. I mean, if you're kind of going in with no type of plan, it can be really overwhelming to understand what you need to focus on in your blog, what you need to focus on in social, and what you need to focus on within your newsletter. And so being able to have an editorial calendar that actually just clearly outlines all the messages that you need to have across all these different channels will make it that much easier for you to execute.
Excellent. And along those lines, would you say that you want to stay on kind of a thematic approach with all of those channels in that calendar?
Yeah, I would say it depends on the time of year. So if there's something specific that you want to be pushing more within, like, say, winter compared to spring, like, for example, here in Massachusetts, we're not going to be talking about the importance of clearing snow off your roof as a homeowner insurance agent when it's July. So you want to make sure that you're taking the seasons into consideration. But definitely, I think themes make it very easy for someone to think of topic ideas when they might be struggling to brainstorm.
Fantastic. And Ashley, if somebody wants to connect with you and connect with Dash of Social, where can they do that?
You can find me at dashofsocial.com. Links to our social media profiles are in the footer of our website. And you're also more than welcome to find me and connect with me on LinkedIn under my name, which is Ashley DiBiase.
Excellent. And so, Ashley, thanks for joining us today on the Digital Insurance Agent Podcast. It's been great having you with us. And thank you for dropping a lot of wisdom on us today.
I appreciate the opportunity, Carl. Thank you.
You're welcome.